Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to have Alan with us today. He is the author of the book, Men Fight For Me. Alan serves as the executive director for Saving Innocence, an anti-human trafficking community-based organization focused on the recovery and restoration of child victims of sex trafficking. He is married with 2 children and has recently released this so important book, Men Fight For Me. So, Alan, what is this book about?
Susan, thanks for having me, first of all. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. The book is focused at men, not exclusively for men, but my male voice challenging the male audience to get involved in the fight against human trafficking. And I say early on in the book that we're going to use human trafficking as the worst example of men gone wrong. It's actually bigger than that. We're challenging men to live better, stronger, more purposeful, more powerful. And in the process, human trafficking will go away. But so will a lot of other problems.
That sounds fantastic. So that's an interesting title. Can you explain where your title comes from?
Yeah, several years ago, I was at an awareness event down in the middle of LA somewhere, human trafficking awareness that is, at a church on a Saturday. And my co-author, Jessica Midkiff, who's also my colleague at Saving Innocence, was on the stage in a panel. And next to her was a woman named Rachel. Rachel is out there changing the world. She's a lived experience expert, as we call them, or a survivor. And she said in the middle of her telling her story that day, she said, I could no longer fight for myself. I needed someone to fight for me. And there was 200 people in the room, and that I felt like she was talking right to me, because here I am. I'm already at Saving Innocence. I'm already in this fight. And what I had learned so far was most of the buyers are men. Most of the sellers are men. Men are the biggest part of this problem. Indisputable. And now there's a survivor on the stage looking me right in the eye, I felt like, saying, I needed someone to fight for me. Now, this is my lane. I'm a man. I can challenge men. And so the book was born in that moment. And the title came right out of Rachel's mouth when she said, I needed someone to fight for me.
That's so beautiful. In your book, you talk about authentic masculinity. What is that?
Well, and it's a great question, isn't it? Because if you're going to pose something as authentic, then that must mean there's an inauthentic version. And what we're seeing played out on our TV and our social media and in the world stage is a bunch of broken men, cheap, diminished versions of manhood out causing pain and suffering in the world. And so part of the challenge here in this book is challenging men to live different. And I humbly submit my working definition of a real man. You know, there's no agreed upon definition. Like, what is a real man? Is it the first time he gets married or has sex? What is it? Is it an age, 18 or 21? What makes a man? And so I sort of recount in the book a little experience I had with my son when he was 5 years old, and a couple of buddies. We got together. They had sons. We had a father-son group, and we identified, here's the definition of a man. And so the kind of the 4 pillars of authentic masculinity, which we go into detail in the book. One is he accepts responsibility. He does the stuff that's in front of him and maybe steps into a bigger responsibility that he begins to own. 2 is he lives courageously. An authentic man, a real man, gives courageous leadership in the world, in his community. He's leading courageously. And if we're going to put an end to human trafficking, not to mention other problems, we're going to need a bunch of men to live courageously to do that. 3rd pillar is he lives a life of service. Somebody says in the book, I had a bunch of other men talk about their definition of masculinity. And one guy at the end of the book says, as soon as a man takes, he loses all credibility. Right? We have too many men out there building the kingdom of self, accumulating things and, making sure their life is good and comfortable. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with a comfortable life. But what we need is a bunch of men to live a life of service, to serve those in their community, serve the world, give, don't take. And then the final pillar of authentic masculinity, in my humble opinion, what a real man does is he focuses on the inward before the outward. And it goes like this. Who he is more important than what he does. And so we're challenging men to focus on the interior, the stuff that makes up character and integrity and honesty. All those kinds of things are more important than the outward. That what job you do, like that doesn't really matter. Do you. Go do the thing that you want to do, but focus on who you are on the inside. And our faith perspective informed that quite a bit. We found out our identities in Christ, and we were having that conversation with our boys. But those are the 4 pillars of authentic masculinity. Someone who's practicing those pillars, living those out. And maybe you at home, you might have a different one you want to add to it. Great. add one, take one away. The important thing is to give our young men and our boys the gift of clarity, as I call it. Like, what is it to be a man? Here's what we are aspiring to. Now, I got to tell you, if we could get, I don't know what the tipping point, 1 million men? Is it 5 million men? I don't know how many men it's going to take. But if we can get a whole bunch of men living out those pillars, that's a world I want to live in.
Yes. Yes, that is so inspiring. And what are you hoping to accomplish with this book?
Well, we're hoping to accomplish, we're wanting to challenge multiple generations of men to step up, get involved in the fight. And like I said, we're using human trafficking as the worst example of men gone wrong. So let's end human trafficking. A bunch of men living out those 4 pillars, there's no room for human trafficking. It goes away. I heard a stat recently, and I don't know where it came from or what it was, but it said 80% of all problems are caused by men.
Oh, no.
I thought, well, that's I don't know if there's any data behind it, but that probably sounds pretty correct. So if we can get men living out authentic masculinity, the helpful kind, the kind that builds and doesn't tear down and certainly doesn't oppress us, if we can get enough men doing that, then we're going to change the world, and that's our goal.
Love it. Love it. So where can we get the book Fight for Me? Men Fight for Me.
It is available on Amazon. You can go right there. You can type it in. But we've created a little website called fightforme.net. Go there. Want to add one more step, because all these amazing survivors that have contributed their stories in the book, which you'll soon learn about when you read it, there's other resources. They're there. Their bios are there. There's more clicks and other books to buy and look at. So go to fightforme.net. You can get it there, and you'll learn more about what's happening in this space on that website. Or you go right to Amazon if you want.
Love it. All right. And how do we follow along with this important conversation?
Well, go to fightforme.net, and there's lots of ways to do it. But we also have a little social media around it. Fight for Me Book is an Instagram and a Facebook and a Twitter. So you can follow Fight for Me Book, and that we're putting out things all the time. And as part of the website, at the website, it links to the social media, but we also have a little YouTube channel there. We're just beginning. We're interviewing different contributors in the book, and we're putting those videos there. You can poke around and watch various people, survivors and others, tell their stories. And I would say just get involved. Take the next step. Learn a little something more, and then like and follow Saving Innocence, like and follow other anti-trafficking organizations, and do something. That's my challenge to men. Pick something. Do it. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Wow. Wow. Alan, thank you so much for being here today. And I really want to acknowledge you and commend you for being a true warrior in the fight against human trafficking and for everything that you've accomplished. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Susan Patterson. I'm the director through God's Grace Ministry. At this point, hopefully you are thinking of what you can do to protect women and children from becoming victims of sex trafficking. Alan mentioned the resources at his site for those of you who want to find ways to take action. For those of you who are part of the faith community, our ministry focuses on how to equip the faith community in the fight against human trafficking. One of the things we do is we host a work group for men only who want to lead other men in the fight against human trafficking. Our Engaging Men work group meets 4 times a year, and about 2/3 of the men on the call are men who have both national and community efforts in the fight against human trafficking. The rest of the men are there to be mentored by these leaders. If you want to learn more about this work group, just go to our site, throughgodsgrace.com, and scroll down to the work group section to find dates for upcoming meetings. The recommended video that's at the end of this video is one of those work group meetings that was led by one of the men on how to reduce sex buying. Please do support our work by subscribing to this channel and liking and sharing this video. Thank you for watching.